Here it comes. Here it
Yeah.
comes.
Yes.
Hope we all become famous.
Yeah, dude. We could all retire early, huh?
Yeah.
Right? There you go.
We need a lot more views if we're gonna do that.
We're gonna have to like start promoting it.
I have figured out how to put all this on YouTube though. I got a couple episodes on there.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. So maybe more people can watch that way too, especially people that don't have Facebook.
Right.
Facebook. Let's see here. Sponsors. We got Adcraft.
Did you have a good Thanksgiving, Mike?
Yeah, it was good. We went to two places. Went over to Fulton with the Rashi family, and then out to Milan with the Moores. So did the Sullens Trader one on Sunday, which was good too, seeing everybody. Oh, yeah, a lot of good food. You know, yourself?
Sure. Yeah.
Good.
Good. I did. I asked before we went on break at school. I asked this question to high school kids. Would you rather never be able to eat a Thanksgiving meal the rest of your life, or never open a Christmas present the rest of your life?
Wow. That's tough.
Question.
I guess I'd go. Now that I'm an adult, you know, I would give up the presents and stick with the food.
Yep, that's what I went with as well. A lot of high school kids did the opposite, but
yeah. Well,
there's a couple that went food.
Yeah, I mean the food is crazy. Dad did some ribs.
Oh,
that was so good.
Oh, nice.
And then Brenda Rashi, she's a home ec. She was a home ec. I mean, she's one of the best cooks around, you know, and bakers. And then out at the Moors, her uncle Mike makes this ham gravy that just, you know, you just pour that on everything at the end, and you're good to go. So yeah, trying to recover from that.
Yeah, I hear that.
Should we roll?
Yeah, let's roll. Let's do it.
We got plenty of people on now. Yeah.
All right. You ready, Mike?
Yep.
All right. So this is episode number 30, Beyond the Scoreboard podcast. Before we get started, we got to talk about and thank our sponsors. I have the Adcraft shirt on here. We also have Fatlead that has some shirts for us as well. Again, as always, if anybody wants some merch, let us know. We can hook you up. We have a guest this week as well. We have Mike Sullens here with us today. Mike, if you want to go ahead and give a little bit of a introduction of yourself, and we'll get rolling.
All right. Yeah, Mike Sullens, class of 2011 at Comanche. Played football, basketball, and golf at Comanche all 4 years. Went to the University of Iowa, got my degree there, got my PTA at Kirkwood. Now I treat and run the Comanche Rock Valley Physical Therapy clinic in Comanche. Married my high school sweetheart, Chelsea Sullens now, of course, back in 2017, and we got 2 kids. And with Christmas coming up, it's getting pretty crazy. So there it is in a nutshell.
There it is. High school sweetheart. There it is.
Yeah, I mean, Comanche legends. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yes.
She's pretty good.
Well, I was gonna say I met your wife sand volleyball this summer, and I didn't realize she's a D1 tennis player, correct?
Yeah, D1 at UNI. What is it? 2-time single state champion, and then 2-time team state champion tennis. State all-state volleyball, I believe, and then she went to state in basketball. So yeah, she did pretty well.
And I think you forgot to mention, Mike, that you both are in the Hall of Fame at Comanche as well, right?
No, just her.
Oh, you're not. You're not in it yet?
Nope.
Oh, I thought you were in it. Oh,
that's fine. She gets to bring.
She
gets with that Hall of Fame card. She gets to bring one person with her. So don't worry, I'm covered.
Man, we might have to get on Get on that Hall of Fame committee at Comanche. Get my
Yeah. That's what I was thinking that earlier. I thought you were already in it. Same thing. I was like, I figured you'd already be in it, but damn.
I thought for sure you were too. Maybe not. All right.
Who's dropping the ball there?
I don't know. I have to talk to some committee members. I don't know.
Well, you're gonna have to. You got the poll there, man. Come on, get it.
I'm not on the committee, so I don't really have much pull, but I know a couple people that are.
Start talking, man.
Yeah.
You gotta do it.
Your before we get into talks here, your wife commented. She says Nora says hi. She can't believe you're on TV.
That's awesome.
How old are your kids?
Like we said, hopefully we become famous and she can watch you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do have a question for you, Mike.
Yeah.
Obviously you are the PT guy at Comanche Rock Valley. And this gets brought up a lot, but what you probably see more, I don't know. I think kids are hurt or injured more than maybe even when like we played and even back when you played. What do you think the common denominator of high school age kids and the injuries that you see or the rehab or therapy you have to do? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been, and I agree with you. It seems like we see more than what I just remember as a kid, and I think one thing is a lot of overuse. Don't get me wrong, back in the day we did AAU stuff, but it just seems like these high school kids are never having a break. You know what I'm saying? They are playing AAU basketball on the off season. They're going to doing something else. They're playing AAU whatever 7-on-7 football. They're going track. They're doing. I mean, it just seems like their bodies never get a rest, and so that can lead to increased injuries, of course. But I would say that's kind of the biggest thing. And you ask them, okay, so like when you get a break, and it's like, well, no, I'm actually, even though it's out off a season, they're still playing basketball or doing whatever, playing volleyball, playing softball, baseball. They're going to training sessions, all that. And I feel like that's one thing that you see a lot more is just kids don't seem to have a break anymore when it comes to sports, which again, like, I mean, if you have a passion for it and obviously you want to get better, I mean, fantastic, do that. But sometimes you do need that rest for the body to heal up, instead of continuously going hard on it. So, and this is kind of something that just in the PT game that, I mean, I've done a jump camp at Comanche too with that, but just in terms of what the kids are doing training wise, weight training wise, whatever that is, I feel like there's just certain muscle groups that are neglected sometimes as well. A lot of deadlifts, maybe bench press, squats, whatever, lunges, split squats, all that stuff. But you maybe not doing enough hamstrings or doing enough hip stuff as well, making sure you have the proper stability. One thing with specifically like female athletes is you see a lot of valgus at the knee. So just imagine just knee knocking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody comes here and they do, a lateral step up or whatever we're trying to work on, you just see that, especially in the female athlete, where they're putting stress on that medial aspect of the knee. So, but yeah, I mean, so to answer your question, sorry, I just think that there's no break that the athlete's getting anymore, it seems like, and which causes prolonged injuries.
Yeah.
What do you like? What's not to cut you off, Coach Coy?
No, you're good.
Mike, what do you think? Like, say you go from the male perspective, you go from football to basketball, right? And that's right. Like, what's a proper time frame to like have to like rest your body before like transitioning to the next sport?
Right. I mean, I don't know if there's really, and maybe there's data out there that shows like what you want for a rest period. I mean, kids at that age should be healthy enough. What is it, 2 weeks off, coach, that you get in between sports?
I mean, yeah. I mean, depends Depends
if you
on if you
go
make a playoff
playoffs.
run and stuff
Right,
like that.
right.
But yeah, roughly around 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe. Yeah.
But in that 2 week period, not going hard, maybe doing light training in between that, um, you know, low weight, high reps, doing a lot of stretching, working on those muscle groups that I was alluded to before that maybe you're not um, doing a lot in the weight room, or so working on maybe hips or something like that instead, hamstrings. Um, but yeah, I mean, a 2 week period, I mean, it seemed to work pretty well and when we were in high school. Um, but it's more or less like maybe in that summer you're doing a lot. You see a lot more kids doing stuff in the summer than they used to. Maybe you had baseball, but now you're doing baseball, and like I said, like maybe you're doing volleyball, you're doing basketball, you're doing whatever it is as well during the summer. So, um, but yeah, just taking, I mean, 2 weeks at that age should be, enough time. Like I said, just doing light stuff to get ready, geared up, and also the transition. Those are different. Different sports too. If you're going from football to basketball, different
Sure.
muscle groups are being used as well. So, um, yeah, just getting ready for that next sport.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm those are good responses. And I think a lot of, I don't know, some kids don't know how to rest or take time, or take time off, which
Right.
sometimes you just have to be like, hey, let's pump the brakes a little bit here and get healthy and that kind of thing. But yeah, good. I like those responses. I would agree with all of those. I mean, the overuse one for sure. I see that a lot. And obviously you want people to be multi-sport athletes. And I think that's better for people. But when
Yeah.
you're doing multiple sports at one time, that may not be the
There you
best
go.
option though. So
There you go.
yeah. All right, Stenda, should we get in some NFL talk here with
Let's go.
Mike? Um,
Sure.
so obviously we'll talk about our teams, and then I just got some random topics along with the kind of stuff going on in the NFL. But I'm a Bears guy. Stenda, as you can see, is a Steeler guy there, and Mike informed us he's a Dolphins fan. So
Yeah, I was
uh,
wrong. I was wrong about that earlier.
yeah. So Mike, why don't you go in and kind of talk about your Dolphins and maybe if you foresee them maybe possibly sneaking into a wild card.
Yeah. Obviously, you guys know with Tua's head injuries, that's been the biggest concern. In this day and age, the quarterback does so much that you need somebody in there who you can trust. And with Tua out there, I mean, I think Huntley got us one game. Um, and then, Tua came back and we played, what was it, the Cardinals and the Bills really tough, but each ended in a last second field goal, I believe. So, and then we strung together a couple wins in a row, dropped to the Packers. So I think we're sitting at 5-7 now. So, you know, obviously it's possible to still make the wild card, but the Chargers are still playing well. Ravens are up there, so we're kind of, we're gonna have to win a crud ton of games to hopefully make the wild card because we're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna catch the Bills. Unfortunately, they're the New England Patriots of our division right now.
Yeah.
It seems to be their time over the last few years. So, I mean, that our tight end has been a stud lately, Smith.
Yep.
God, he's been our leading receiver. It seems like every game since Tua's got back, he's looking really good. So there's a shining star for the Dolphins right now. And I like Mike McDaniel what he does with the offense. It's just who knows? If Tua stayed healthy, maybe we're 7-5 or 8-4 instead of 5-7. Uh, but injuries obviously part of the game. So that's the other thing too. I mean, is he going to really consider retiring after this year because of the head injuries? So I think that's going to be a big question at the end of the season is if he stays or if he goes. If he goes, I completely understand. If he stays, fantastic. I think Tua is a good quarterback. He's done well for us. Um, it looked really good last year, but then we just had so many injuries going into the playoffs, specifically on the defensive side. I mean, three of our DNs got injured at the end of the season. I mean, Van Ginkel he was our backup, and he ended up getting injured too. So it's like, geez Louise. So, anyways, yeah, we'll see. It's a long shot, but maybe we get in there.
I think with Tua, I think he'll be back. I think with him coming back this year, I think that's a sign that he's not going to retire. But because he's still pretty young. What is he? 27-ish, 26 maybe? Or is he older than that?
Maybe
In that range.
God.
Let's see too. I'll look him up.
But
yeah, I don't know his specific age.
I think he'll be back in
26.
26, yeah. So I mean, he's still got plenty of years left in him.
But God, when did Luck retire?
It's been what? At least 2018, isn't it?
Yeah, but he was kind of in the same boat, just injury and never. True. God, but was he 30 when he retired?
Yeah, I think Luck was younger than that, younger than 30.
Was he?
Yeah.
Did he play 6 years? Let me see. I just saw him. He got from. Isn't he like a coach now or something?
It's like a general. Well, they just they labeled it as a general manager for Stanford football, which I don't know what that means at the college level, but that's what they have him labeled as.
He retired in 19 and he's 35 right now. So he's 20. He was 29 when he retired.
Yeah.
Oh.
But his was like so, Mike. What do you kind of like what you do for your profession? Like looking at all those injuries for Tua, like that. His injuries with the head trauma, and then Andrew Luck wasn't it like his wrist and
shoulder maybe too?
Shoulder, I think, was Luck. Yeah.
I mean, for Tua, like from the perspective personally, like for him, like thinking of his family and long term, like, do you keep playing or how much do you think it increases his chances for like something bad to really happen to him?
I mean, what do they say? Like, I mean, you look at what can cause a concussion, and everybody thinks they go to like a video of Tua, sitting there, clearly unconscious, hands are stiff, and people think, okay, that's a concussion. But concussions happen all the time in football. I mean, it could even be on just like a hard block. You don't even have to fall to the ground, or you can still have those like minor concussion instances. With the brain, it's just scary because you never know. It's all about where it is, 20, 30 years from now is when you really, so it comes down to just what he wants to do. I mean, if he wants to keep playing, I mean, you're going to risk it, but, or, something, joint wise, if you can't move your shoulder, you're kind of screwed. If your shoulder's that messed up, like a Luck, I mean, you just, and you're just seeing that more. And I think that's, what was it? Luke Kuechly also retired super early.
Yeah.
8 years. Yeah.
So, but I mean, the amount of money these guys are making, they can retire after 5-6 years of being in the pros, and be pretty set with that. So,
sure.
But it comes down. I mean, even with just joint injury, I mean, it always comes down to what the player wants to do. It is what it is. But I mean, I guess the good thing is, with the type of healthcare that we have now, I mean, just in terms of how much it's grown, they can probably monitor Tua's situation a little bit better than, back in the 80s or whatever, or 90s. So, yeah, I don't know. It just comes down to what he wants to do, I guess, and we'll see what happens.
Bring Marino back.
Yeah,
he's slinging.
Yeah,
he's slinging rock.
He might still be able to.
What's that?
He might still be able to sling it. He still looks good. Marino does.
He could imagine if he was throwing in this era of football.
Right.
his stats, like he'd be I mean, he threw for what 60,000 in his era. Imagine now
Mhm.
if he was. Oh my god,
Right.
he'd be
Yeah, and
so
if he was
Nuts.
thrown to Waddle and Hill and Smith too,
Yeah. Yeah.
it'd be nuts.
dude. They'd be lethal. That'd be scary.
All right, Stenda, you want to go into your Steelers? Another big win for them.
Big. All right. Did you guys see any of the game?
I watched quite a bit of the Steelers game today, actually.
Mike,
'Cause
you did.
the
Okay.
Bears weren't on,
I
so
didn't.
Okay. So I want to talk about the game. Let's talk about. Have you seen some of? We'll start with George Pickens' antics.
What's he been doing?
So today he gets 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, right? So after one, like the second, they usually disqualify you. But the
Yeah.
second one he did, they said it was unsportsmanlike conduct, but it didn't meet like the threshold to disqualify him. But like even the announcers are like, I think he's a top 5 receiver. I mean, when you put the ball in his hands, like he scores or he makes a big play. But when do at some point do you say like he negates today? He had 2 times where he had big plays and he basically negated it because he's taunting. Like at some point, like when do you say like when does Tomlin or the coach like if you guys are coaching and you have a player even in high school, when do you say like you're done? Like this is it. Like what are you doing?
well, I saw the first one of Pickens. He did like a gun simulation to the crowd, like simulated shooting a gun, and then that's obviously a penalty. But as far as high school goes, usually what happens if a kid gets an unsportsmanlike, I'll take him out and just be like, hey, I mean, and not such a nice term, but nice way, and be like, hey, we don't do that. Same thing in high school. If you get 2, you're tossed too, and then just make sure they understand, like, hey, you get another one, you can't play next week. So, yeah, I know NFL is a little different. They usually don't pull the guys out after unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, but that's how I approach it at the high school level. Now, if we have a guy that's constantly every week doing something silly, then yeah, there's going to be some consequences and things like that. But I know NFL and you're dealing with grown men, so I know it's a little different. But yeah, I saw a lot in that game. I saw his teammates talking to him a lot, and like probably more or less like, hey, quit being an idiot type thing. And I don't know if he handles that very well, like taking that criticism. He doesn't look like he does, at least. But
No.
I don't know. He is a special talent, though.
Yeah.
He's an idiot. He's Antonio. Here's what I'm scared of between both of you guys is he's Antonio Brown. He's going to get to the and Antonio Brown didn't start doing that until the end of his career with Pittsburgh.
Right.
I mean, this is George Pickens' what 2nd, 3rd year. I mean, come on, like he's been like that. And like I think today, like if you play, so imagine if you're playing the Chiefs, right? Or you're playing, the Ravens in like a divisional game or a playoff game, that could like lose you the game very easily. And to me, it's like, okay, well, today, you're playing the best offense in the NFL. That's my opinion. The Bengals. I mean, how do you stop Jamar Chase, Higgins, Burrow? But then you have the worst defense, and he would make these big plays, and you're like, and then he does that, and you're like, imagine if you do that against the Chiefs, you're not going to win.
Right.
You can't beat them, like because it's going to be a 1-score game. But I mean, I worry that he's going to turn into Antonio Brown and AG 2.0, man. Scary.
That is scary. You don't
I will
want that.
say about your team, gosh, to have 2 quarterbacks do it for you this year. I mean, it was good to see what Fields was doing at the beginning of the season, but yeah, you got to be happy. I mean, it's been a good year for the Steelers.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they do all right. I mean, I think they're probably trying to figure out what they're going to do long term. At the end of the day, because Russ is getting old, but yeah, I mean, again, Tomlin, he always finds a way to win.
Yeah.
I mean, he just does. I mean, what is it, 18 years now? He secured that. I mean, even if they lose the rest of their games, they're going to be over 500.
Right.
But my other guy, the only thing I want to say is Joey Porter. if you watch it, like Coy, if you watch it today, he had 6 penalties
Really?
in the game as a corner. He had 2 penalties on the same play. He had a defensive holding, and then he had a ball in the end zone. So he gets called for defense holding, and then he has a pass interference in the end zone, and it brings it, down. Obviously, spot foul. It's in the end zone.
Yeah.
Well, what did he have earlier? The same thing. A ball that wasn't even catchable. It's in the back of the end zone, and it's on the 1 yard line. So 2 different times they put spot foul. It's on the 1 yard line, and they score. Like 1 week he looks really good, and the next week it's like he literally 4 or 5 penalties a game. Like, and it's, man, like, again, how do you beat regular season? It works because like there you can escape from that, but like in the playoffs, are you beating a really good team in the playoffs that way?
Right.
Yeah, probably not. I did see, I know Porter dropped an easy pick in the end zone too.
Yep.
I think the Bengals end up scoring too, but yeah, those penalties they'll come back and get you, especially in the playoffs against teams that that are better than the Bengals, So
Sure.
I'm sure Tomlin's working on something to clean that up. He seems like a coach that would address those types of issues and go from there. But Steelers are 9-3. You can't be too unhappy over there, Stenda.
Yeah, well, I am. They should be 12-0.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm like Mike. I was telling Coy before, and we were talking. We were texting. I was like, I'm like, like I think Cowboy fans are the worst because they always have an excuse for, not every single fan, but the majority of them, like, oh, they have injuries. Hey, these calls we had. I'm very critical of the Steelers. Where I'm like today, I'm on the edge of my seat the whole game. I'm like, they're up by 17. I'm like, you guys are gonna let them come down and score again, and then you'll punt the ball back to them. And what did it come down to? A 1-possession game. But I'm like very realistic on, and I just, again, I don't know if they're sustainable in the long run. I just don't know if it is like how they play, because their defense. A lot of people are like, oh, they're elite. They're the highest paid defense in the NFL. But look, I mean, how many times a day did they have? They had like 2 times where it was 3rd and 20 plus, and they converted a first down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, holy crap. And that's my thing with them. Like, they find a way to win, but like, is it sustainable, like, to win a Super Bowl?
Right.
Find out. You never know. Find out. Well, we do know that at least you have a chance to play for it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, AFC, it's always through the Chiefs.
Yes.
So
yeah,
we'll see how it looks. But Chiefs almost lost to the Panthers last week. That was crazy.
Yeah, and they should have lost to the Raiders this week.
Yeah.
On Friday.
They've had a lot of. I feel like. Do you guys feel like they've? I feel like they've had a lot of help.
It really does seem that way. It just seems like when they need something, a flag's thrown, defensive pass interference or something like that is always going their way. To get them a first down, get them in a field goal position, whatever it is, and I don't know. Maybe that's just me, because also now I feel like I have a bias. I hated the Patriots because I always won, and now it's like you kind of start to not like the Chiefs as much because it's like, God, just lose already, let somebody else do it. But no, I do have that feeling where it just seems things go the Chiefs' way all the time.
Yeah, it does seem like some of those flags are at interesting times of the game for sure. But but they're always in a position to win games though. So a lot of teams aren't in that position. So
they're good.
Credit for that.
Yep.
How about the
as much as I'm with you, Mike, I'm okay with watching them lose too. But
yeah, I hope that. I mean,
but they're not.
Well, who's going to beat? Who do you think? Who could beat them
in the AFC? I mean,
in the playoffs.
Bills.
I mean, the Ravens. The Ravens could.
Well, because the Bills gave them their first loss, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So the Bills, Ravens might. Lamar is just this special person who can take the game, put the game on his shoulders, and do crazy stuff with the ball. I mean, Steelers. You know,
Maybe.
what division am I forgetting about in the AFC right now?
Are you talking the Texans?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if the Texans are ready to make that. You're right. It's the Texans and the Colts division. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're ready for that next step. I don't know. I like the Texans. It's nice to see them doing well. But I just don't know if they have that next step yet to really be a contender.
Yeah.
They started off hot, but they kind of. I think they're now what 8-5.
Those had a close. Wasn't it close with the Jags today? I know they won, but
Yeah, it was
wasn't it like
close.
23-20 or something?
Yeah, even with Mac Jones had to come in at quarterback too early.
Mm-hmm. Isn't Beathard on the Jags?
3-0.
I don't know if he still is or not. Maybe.
Who is it?
CJ Beathard.
Oh,
he was at one point, yeah, but I don't know. I know Mac Jones is their backup, but
you pay a guy what he's like one of the highest paid quarterbacks.
Trevor Lawrence, yeah, he got knocked out. Today. I mean, borderline dirty hit. And then that dude got tossed on it.
I saw that, yeah.
Then he wanted to start a fight when he was leaving the field. One of the Jags linemen like ran over at him, and then they were like going at it, and he had to get separated by his teammates. I'm like, geez. So
yeah, speaking of fights, you saw like college football went crazy this weekend. Holy cow.
Yeah, there was Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State.
Arizona State.
North Carolina State.
Notre Dame and USC.
Yeah. It was all
also like Nebraska didn't shake our hands.
Yeah.
I bet you were pissed about that, weren't you, Mike?
Yeah.
I can only imagine. I bet you were.
Well, and I don't know. I think that's stupid. And apparently Matt Rule, Nebraska's coach, walked through the Iowa pregame or something.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see any video of that, but I know Higgins, the linebacker for Iowa, was talking about that. And did you see right after the game he went up to Rule and shook his hand? Like he was like intentionally going up and shaking players' hands, but they didn't really know he was being a smart ass about it. But but yeah, I think, and if like Nebraska's won 6 games, maybe 7 games, 5 games. Like, why do you act like that if you've won 5 games? If you're 5-5, whatever it is. Now, if you're undefeated, yeah, okay, maybe, yeah, we could do that. But it's silly. Just shake the hands.
With that Ohio State Michigan game, did an officer start spraying stuff like pepper spray or anything like that?
Yeah,
I saw that.
I thought I saw some sort of spray there. I was like, "What the? This is crazy."
Yeah, there was like a shot of a couple of Michigan players that got sprayed. You can tell their eyes.
That's the first. I've never seen that happen.
Well, yeah, the one Ohio State guy ripped the flag and then started stomping on it. I'm like, holy cow! But the whole we can go into that too. Like the whole flag planting thing and the other team's field, I think is dumb too. Like, just take your win. Just take your win and get off the field, man. Like, you can wave the flag on your way out, right? But
that's gonna infuriate. I mean, like, what you're doing when you're doing that, right? Like, people aren't gonna be happy about that. So, I don't know. Yeah. You hope that they don't have to make some sort of like NCAA rule about it, just like people being smart about it. But whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's silly. I agree, but do we have to talk about the Bears, Stinda?
Or yes,
absolutely. Please do.
I mean,
jeez.
Hey, so we got Eberflus. However the hell he got the head coaching job in the first place, who knows?
Great question.
But that's what the Bears do.
I know.
They hire these dudes. It's like, who is this guy? Where'd you get him from? So
yeah, there's a long list of guys like that as Bears head coaches for sure.
So here's the thing: what are they gonna do to like become a contender? Like, I mean, you obviously start with the coach, but
Yeah.
who are they gonna go get? That's my question. Who are they gonna hire?
Well, I've already talked about this on here. Ben Johnson's my number one guy, the Lions offense coordinator. I would even like Cliff Kingsbury, he's the OC at Washington right now. I would take him as head coach. I know he didn't do well when he was the head coach at Arizona, but he's got a good relationship with Caleb Williams, coached him in college a little bit, and I think he's a good offensive minded guy. I think the Bears need like an offensive minded head coach, my opinion. I think their defense is pretty set, pretty solid. I think you got to get an offensive minded head coach in there to help with Williams, the young quarterback, and kind of get him rolling. He's probably in the other crappy thing with Caleb Williams. He's probably going to end up being on his third offensive coordinator going into his second year. You know, it's just crazy, unless they give it to this Brown guy that is doing it right now. But also, I'm hearing like possible the Bills OC. I think his name's Joe Brady. And I've even heard the name Mike Vrabel thrown around a little bit, which I wouldn't mind Vrabel. I know he's more of a defensive guy, but I like Vrabel. I think what the Bears need too is a guy that I think Eberflus completely lost the locker room, 100%. Like there's guys in the post game press conferences the last 3 weeks that are like subtly dropping hints that the coaching is the problem type thing without saying coaching's the problem. You know what I mean? So I think they need a head coach that will take care of the locker room and get guys buying into what they're going to do. And I think Vrabel would do that. But I don't know. I think I'm asking for Ben Johnson going that route. I love his schemes and everything offensively and what he's done with the Lions, but we'll see. I don't know. The Bears are very dysfunctional right now, though. I'll give you that for sure. The whole, I mean, they have found ways to lose games that I've never seen before this year.
Yeah,
It's wild.
you know, we talked about like how the flags always seem to go the Chiefs' way. It just seems like things tend to go against the Bears every time.
100%.
I mean, from the Hail Mary with the Commanders to the blocked field goal, it's just like it just seems like things just don't. And then I mean, poor clock management last on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you could probably blame Williams and the coach there. I don't know. It's just how do you not know what to do there? I mean,
yeah. Either
isn't that what you do every practice is a 2-minute drill, time management, how you're going to do that? I mean, how do you not have muscle memory at this point? I mean, these guys have been playing football for their whole lives. Like, how do you not? It's crazy that it went down the way it did there.
Yeah, Eberflus just like froze in late game situations where decisions had to be made, and obviously as a head coach you can't do that, especially in the NFL. You would think you would know situation as soon as he got sacked on that third down, and like it was a long play, so guys are downfield, so you got to let everyone get back and get set.
Right.
Like you should be like once it got to maybe even like 18 seconds, like, oh, well, we better get a timeout here. So, we at least get another play, get a little closer maybe, and then still have time to spike it after you use that timeout. But, oh, man, yeah, I don't know what they're thinking. And you're right. Caleb Williams has got to know, like, hey, I got to snap that sooner type thing. And at least give a field goal a shot. It would have been a long field goal, maybe not made it, but at least got to give it a shot. But, yeah, that was extremely frustrating for sure.
He's an idiot. That Eberflus. I mean, watching.
Yeah,
I couldn't like watching. I was like, oh my god, like this guy's coaching in the NFL.
Yeah,
and
like you know what I mean. Like at the end
seasons.
of the day, yeah, it's bad. It's just bad because I've always wondered what the Bears, besides Lovie Smith, how they come up with their candidates.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like drafting. Like when they drafted, Mitch Trubisky. Over what? Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
Like, at some point, like, where do you say, like, dude, what are you guys doing? Like,
Yeah.
Well, I thought. I mean, it's easy to say this now, but I thought going in they wouldn't rehire Eberflus going into the season because like you obviously are bringing in a rookie quarterback, and Eberflus didn't really win his first 2 years, so you got to know like if he didn't have a good year, he's gonna get fired anyway. You know what I mean?
sure.
So like, Why would you fire your coach and then have to reset everything for a young quarterback type thing?
Right.
And I look at like I mean, we could have had a shot at like Jim Harbaugh, and look, he's kind of turning the Chargers around in year one already, and he's won everywhere he's been in the NFL and in college, and he was a former Bear, so like who knows, but
Mm-hmm.
didn't get that opportunity. But yeah, it's dysfunctional, and it's going to be tough to win another game as the Bears. Their schedule is not easy the rest of the year.
No.
Lions, Packers, Vikings, Seahawks, 49ers, I think is what they got left. So
Wow.
good luck.
Yep.
But hey, maybe we'll get another top 10 draft pick. Who knows?
Oh, God.
And then we can ruin that again as well. So
I'm sorry. I mean, I'd love to
hopefully
see him do good, but god damn,
Yeah.
man, like
I do too.
how
I do too.
shitty can you? I mean, after at some point, like wouldn't you just fire everybody in the organization?
So do you think that like quick turnover is something that's like ruining the NFL a little bit? I mean, if you don't produce results now, I mean, you don't get 3 seasons. You don't. I mean,
Sure.
it barely. I mean, sometimes you don't even get one. And I, you don't want to see what happened to Justin Fields, where, like you said, he had so many different offensive coordinators, head coaches within his first three. I mean, it was just crazy. Like, how are you supposed to
Yeah.
get used to something like that? And then when you're on the hot seat, maybe you don't perform as a coach to the best of your ability because you have that kind of looming over your. And I mean, there's only 32 head coach positions in the NFL, so like you better be good at it. But I mean, I just feel like it, they're very quick to get rid of people nowadays. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I
it is crazy. Like you look at like last year, that the Eagles coach Sirianni, like everyone's like wanting to get rid of him in Philly, and I'm like, like this guy's done nothing
yeah,
but win since he's
right,
been there. Why would like you have one bad year and you think, hey, yeah, see ya? Like that's just it's wild, yeah. And then I think it's crazy they fire so many coaches in the middle of the season as well. Like I was okay with Eberflus being fired in the middle of the season, but it's just I feel like that would be even more challenging as a player. You're used to this guy for all training camp and the first 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden he's gone, and then some other interim guy's just coming in and doing what he wants to do. So
right,
yeah, it is crazy how quickly coaches come and go for sure. Unless you're Mike Tomlin and you win every year and you
yeah.
don't have to leave, which helps as well.
Probably longest tenured in the NFL right now, currently, right? Has to
I
be.
believe so.
Him or Andy Reid?
Oh,
Okay, yeah,
well. I was
with
just
one
saying
team.
with one spot, yeah, one team,
Oh,
one team.
sure, yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, they've always had that culture, but I think that's probably been like that's just what they're known for. But when you go back to like Mike, what you were saying about do they get axed too quick? I mean, yeah, they probably do. I mean, you have to give them some time to be able to implement their system. However, like you're talking about, like Justin Fields, when you're going through three offensive coordinators or whoever, three head
Hmm.
coaches, and three, I mean, how do you expect anybody to be successful? It's a
Right,
brand new
exactly.
yeah.
system every time. So, I mean, you do need stability. I could see like 4 or 5 years. You give them that, and then you're like, all right, you haven't done nothing, you
Right.
know. But at some
I mean,
point, like you do have to have that. I agree with you.
Well, it's the same. I'll use my example, high school level. So I was an assistant at Comanche for 4 years before I took over as head coach, and I coached under 3 different head coaches in 4 years.
Yep.
So in those 4 years, I was the assistant at Comanche. I think we won 3 games Or wait, scratch that. 4 or 5 games. But and it was just, I mean, for high school kids especially, it's a lot harder because obviously they're not as knowledgeable football wise as NFL players. Obviously, they're not as talented. So it's easier for the NFL guys to adjust to things like this. But as a high school kid, you learn a system one year and then the next year it's a completely new system. And then we had one coach for 2 years and then a new coach came in for the next year and it was completely different offense, defense, scheme, everything. So you can't really establish anything or, I think longevity and having someone that's there for a while helps even at the high school level as well. Because you get used to what the coach wants, what the plays are, what the schemes are. Yeah, you change from year to year based on what you have personnel wise, but generally it's very similar a lot of times. And the coaching style is going to be generally the same. You just might have a couple different schemes, So,
Right.
so yeah, it's difficult for all, but the longevity, I mean, definitely helps. Again, I know we'll bring the Steelers up again, but Tomlin's been there 18 years and has 18 winning seasons, so there's something to that.
Yep.
Same thing with like a Bill Belichick, he
Yeah.
had all that going too. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, you just need consistency and stability. But
Yep. Helps for sure. See, Holly Scoff's on board. She brought up a point. She said the Saints are thriving with their coach being fired. Yeah, the Saints are doing well with their interim. And yeah, it can't happen if, in the NFL, sometimes that helps a team, when you fire the coach midseason and they rally around the guy and all that. So
Yeah, didn't the Raiders end up doing pretty good at the end of the season once they fired?
And they brought in Pierce. Yeah.
Pierce, yeah, that's his name. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it happens. It can happen for sure.
But but look how they've kind of panned. They haven't really.
Yeah, they haven't had a good year this year, but
it's hard. It's hard there when you don't have a quarterback.
Right. Well, they keep going back. Was it Minshew and O'Connell or whatever his name is?
Yeah, that Aiden O'Connell.
Keep going back and forth. Yeah.
Him and Minshew or whatever. Yeah. That's hard. Like, yeah, how do you, Mike, going back to like you were saying, like the stability, like, I mean, if you're changing a quarterback every single week, that's got to be hard for use the NFL, offensive line. Start with the offensive line. You just got to start there, right? I mean, for everybody, the receivers. I mean, number one, who you're getting on page with, it's hard. Like each week, Gardner's going to be our starter. Oh, now Aiden is. Now Joe Blow is going to be our, starting quarterback. It's pretty hard at that level because I would imagine a lot of it has to be in sync. They just they're synced and they know what each week when they go through the practice week and film and all that, like they're on the same page. It's hard when you go from A to B to C to D. It's like, how do you expect them to win?
Yeah. I mean, I think for offensive linemen, I mean, it's just tough. But for the receivers, I think it's a little harder just because of the rhythm. Maybe Gardner hits you differently in the route than O'Connell. Yep. You don't have the same rhythm. Next thing you know, you're dropping passes because it's hitting you in a different spot, different timing, whatever that is. Yeah. That'd be rough to get used to back and forth. Oops.
All right, we'll transition here. We got to get into a little Comanche talk here with Mike and kind of, I mean, not, I guess, relive his glory days, but maybe a little bit here. But, so it was, as mentioned on the preview or the introduction Mike did. Well, he didn't mention these, but I have stats for him. Mike was a running back at Comanche. He's the single season rushing leader in the history of Comanche. I believe, I wrote down 1,622 yards in the 2010 season. 14 rushing touchdowns, first team All-Stater, right, Mike?
Yep.
First team All-State, yep. He, for those of you listening and know a little bit about Comanche history, the 2010 team kind of was the team that turned around the long losing streak at Comanche. We won't talk too much about that, but got a playoff win in that year, and obviously Mike was a huge part of that on both sides of the ball. But kind of talk a little bit. I'm curious because obviously you went through kind of the losing part of it and kind of that stretch and that record a little bit as you were playing. How did that feel, that 2010 year, to kind of get over that hump and win a playoff game for the first time in school history, and kind of explain that a little bit with us?
Yeah, it was rough. I don't have the exact number, but I think it might have been like 38 games in a row or something like that we lost. Starting when I was in 8th grade, I remember going to that Preston game and we won. And it was like Doherty's first year there, and we're like, all right, sweet. And then we didn't win a game for the next like 4 or 5 years. And coming up through the system, it's tough going in. I mean, practice isn't easy. Doing sprints, conditioning, hitting each other. Um, you know, going through the damage that you take on your body, but then always losing every game, and you kind of start to, why am I doing this? But we had a good group of guys in my class, and all of us kind of, we stuck with it. Also, with Andrew and myself, we started varsity my sophomore year. And we would so we kind of were able to bring that leadership because we played varsity for so long. And so by the time we got to our senior year, it's like, okay, we've been here this entire time. And so we're used to the speed of it and used to how it works. And yeah, it's once we beat Bellevue, it's like all of a sudden it's like just the floodgates open and we're like, okay, we can do this. Like, let's just keep going after it. And each game, it's like, oh my gosh, like, now we got 2 wins, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, and um, you got to hand it to the seniors, and the players who stuck it out through all those years, because losing over and over and over again isn't fun. But yeah, I think growing or being on the varsity level at a younger age, and then bringing, like I said, that leadership when you finally are the senior. I think that helped, and we had a great group of juniors as well. That helped us out a lot that year. Everything just started to click, and I think we found our happy place with running the ball heavily on offense, and we had a solid defense. Coach Hilgendorf was great with the defense with that 3-5. I love that. A lot of blitzing, a lot of fun stuff there. The kids really, we really enjoyed that as a team. Yeah, it was crazy. We beat Bellevue and we won the first time, for how many years, and it was crazy. It was like it felt like the whole town of Comanche was outside the locker room, giving high fives,
Yeah.
handshakes. It was nuts. And then yeah, we just used that and kept going forward, and we did really well. And yeah, we had a lot of fun that year, and it was nice to see that maybe we had some little part of kind of turning the program around a little bit, which was
Mhm.
cool. So yeah.
What so I'm curious, like I mean, going 3 years of your 4 high school career of not winning a game, right? So was there ever a time where like you had to really, especially the senior class, because you guys obviously had a great senior year, were there times where you as like the leader of that group had to like talk to some guys and be like, hey, listen, like you guys probably knew you were going to be decent by the time you were seniors, right? You probably had
Yeah.
that idea. So like, were there any kids where you're like that were gonna, kind of be like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore? Or did you have to like bring in and be like, look, like I think we're gonna be good. Let's run this through and see how it goes.
You know, there really wasn't that instance where somebody dropped off that I thought I need to talk to this guy and say, "Hey, we can
Yeah.
get through this and just give it another year." Like I said, I was pretty fortunate. We, as a class, we really, the people who started their freshman year, again, I don't, I, I'd say 90% of them stayed. I made, and some people just didn't see playing time. Maybe that's why they stopped. Yeah, some people were, but I mean, the core group that played and started, we were committed. Maybe individually we would think, man, why are we doing this? But like, there's never a time that I had to go reach out to somebody and be like, come on, come back to practice. No, like
Yeah.
you're going to play this year. I was very fortunate that we didn't have a lot of those people kind of, and you know, weird. Like I said, very lucky because it could have definitely, and I wouldn't have, even blamed him. I get it. Who wants to go through that? It's understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we knew. I think we knew we were going to be pretty good that senior year. Like I said, we've developed a lot over the years. We had some really good players. Like I said, we had we've had a good offense, or at least I enjoyed it. You know, run heavy. We had some good guys up front that could block really well. Uh, and then we had Brett Johnson, just fast as fast can be, running down sidelines, doing jet sweeps, giving us allowing it to open up in the middle because they had to watch out for him going around the end. And then, he had Andrew, just a monster, and blocked for me all the time and was a great defensive player as well. Yeah, but no, I was very fortunate. I didn't really have to go after somebody who I thought was going to quit. So
Nice. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, that's kudos to you guys for sticking that out and kind of like you said, turning it around in that year. Um, so obviously that year and even probably your junior year as well, you got a ton of carries. I know before we went live, you mentioned the game where you had like 39 carries in a game.
yeah,
So everyone knows how physical football is, and obviously if you're a dude getting that many carries, you're a pretty physical dude. But the part that a lot of people don't get or understand, I think, is the mental part of it. So going into those games where you're going to get 25, maybe 30 carries in a game, how did you like mentally prepare for that? And obviously other teams knew you're going to get the ball, right? I mean,
yep.
I wasn't around when you played here in Comanche, so I didn't see any of your games. But how did you prepare mentally, knowing that, like, hey, I might take a little beating tonight. I'm going to get a bunch of carries and go on that route.
Yeah, we'd always have, the team dinner beforehand, watch a movie, something to kind of amp you up, get you in the right headspace. Um, Listen to, some music prior to that. But yeah, I just in general, I just knew what, day in and day or week in and week out what I was going to do prior to that. And I bumps and bruises, and being super sore the next day. Yeah, you just kind of what you're getting into. So I guess I really didn't have to like prepare that much because like you said, football's physical. It is what it is. I knew that I was going to get hit a lot. I knew I was going to run the ball a lot. What I will say is like from junior to senior year, what really helped with being able to do all that, I think I gained like 15 pounds.
Yeah.
Um, I weighed in at like almost 200 my senior year, which really helped kind of instead of receiving a beating, kind of taking the beating to somebody else, and finishing out runs, not trying to spin off everything like I did as a junior. So that kind of helped me, not get hurt and start doing the hurting. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, no, it like, just get every Friday, you kind of just, it's like a routine. I
Yeah.
think everybody does that from, when you're little all the way to the pros. You have a routine, you do it, and that kind of just gets you in the right headspace because you know what's going to happen. So, um, but yeah, I don't miss waking up Saturday morning because you
Yeah.
feel like crud. Yeah. And then you have to go to the weight room right away, start doing some, low resistance training, which,
Yeah.
you hated, but you understood. I mean, you do feel better after that, right? Um, I remember having those like jersey imprints on my arm. I don't know if you guys ever got those, but like all over the arm and everything
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And uh and then the games that were just super cold or raining, muddy. I mean, yeah. it's it's a physical sport, but at the end of the day, it was all worth it for me. I had a lot of fun. Still have a lot of lifelong friends who were on that team, you know, a lot of good memories. But yeah.
Stenda, question. You coached when Mike was playing, correct, at Comanche?
Yeah, JV, fresh JV. Yeah.
Okay. So you were
Yeah.
at the varsity
Oh yeah,
games. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you had to compare a like NFL running back, who would Mike resemble as a running back?
Jeez, that's a good one. You know, you were talking about the physical. You were talking about the physical side, but then you said the mental.
Yeah.
Like I said, Mike, watching you like at that time, almost 15 years ago, in a 2A school, what, 6'1", 200 pounds. I remember you being about 200. I remember that when you weighed in, you had gained weight, you're trying to, I'm telling you, man, like, I think for the running back position, you have to be physically and mentally tough. Like, I think like if you don't have both, it's gonna be real tough. Mike had both. And when I say like earlier when I made that post on the page, I'm like, downhill runner, he was gonna run your ass over. That was it. Either he's gonna run you over, or they were getting out of the way, because I don't think defenses they didn't want that type of runner, because that's tough on a defense, right? When they know every single time, like, dude, this guy's coming at us. There's no finesse. He's not trying to go around us. He's not trying to juke. He's gonna run your ass over. I tell you, like, out of and I played with a Division I running back that when I was at Clinton. I think Mike would have played in 4A and he would have been just as dominant as he was in 2A, just because of the physicality part. But then mentally, like you were talking about, Mike, where you knew each week, I'm going to get 25, 30 carries and I'm going to be beat up, but it didn't bother you. And I think that's tough to do, because a lot of guys, probably even in that position, like, they're like, God, I don't want to take this beating. But then defensively, I think a lot of those teams didn't want that. Once they figure out, they're like, oh shit, he's coming at us all night. Because I mean, dude, you were not much of a, the outside. I mean, you went between the tackles, man, and you ran. You're getting to the second level, running linebackers over secondary. Like, those guys didn't want to hit you, because you were going to run them over. So, but I guess I'm getting off board here. But that's just how honestly, one of the best. I like downhill runner, being an offensive lineman in high school. One of the best downhill runners I've ever seen run the football, where I'm just like, holy, like, shit, this guy's coming right at you. Like, and those guys, I think that's intimidating after a while, where you start the first quarter and you're coming at you. Now you're getting the third and fourth quarter and you're still coming at them. Those guys they didn't want any piece of you you got second half. How many games were you mowed them down? They didn't want to tackle you. You could get a 4-yard gain and you turned it into a 12-yard gain, because they did not want to tackle you, because you were hard to bring down. So, I don't know. A running back, I mean, like I say, a north and south runner, honestly, I'll use a Pittsburgh Steeler, Najee Harris. Watch him. He's a bruiser.
Yeah.
He's a bruiser, man. He's just going to come right at you, and he gets a lot of yards.
I thought you were going to say Jerome Bettis.
The bus?
That's what I thought you were going to say too.
Oh, well, the bus, yeah, but you could still you still had you could do the finesse if you needed to, but it was like you knew your strength was I'll just run you over. They're not going to tackle you. Like, they didn't want any part of it. So yeah, man. Like I said, I will say, and I saw Tony Bassett, Kevin Hart from Clinton. He was one of the great running back. I mean, north and south runner though. I've never Mike watching him, even your junior year. Even then, we didn't win any games, but still, you were so tough mentally and physically. It was it was more of when is this going to spring? Like you were saying, hey, then you put together a immaculate season, and so.
I will say something. Like I said, we in my like I personally like the offensive change that senior year because like we were still doing like wing T stuff a lot
Sure.
my junior
Yep.
year, if you remember that. But then we
Mm,
started doing a lot more like I formation,
yeah.
and I really enjoyed that. I felt like I had, of course, more momentum going there, and we still played around with the wing T stuff here and there my senior year. But yeah, I just go back to like, it's nice, you go in the middle. But then again, you once they start packing it in, that's when you give Brett the sweep on the end and he burns you. And
Yes.
then, like I said too, I mean, I was around 200 my senior year, but I had a fullback who was 225 pounds who could still run
Sure.
like a 4.9, 4.8 and Andrew. So not only do you have to hit that guy, but then I'm
Yeah.
behind him, and it just seemed to all work really well and mesh really well together. So yeah.
Yeah. No, you
Uh,
guys were. Yeah. I mean, you guys were. That year was like holy. I mean, a 180. You know.
I remember it was the first I remember sitting out the first time in my life. Because we just play all games because we were losing, so the starter stayed in. Well, like I remember it was the first game that after the second half, like I actually was on the sidelines just
Yeah.
watching because we were actually winning by a lot. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the never been in
Yeah.
this place before. Like this is cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Bruiser.
Tanner Weber, his comparison was Alvin Kamara from the Saints, Kamara, however you say it. But um,
He's
yeah,
yeah.
he,
He's
he's
a good one. Yeah.
yeah.
I
Well, I
mean,
was
like it's
thinking,
yeah.
sorry, I was thinking like as you were talking, Mike, and I know like when Stenda posted on our page about your running style, and like Justin Schaefer commented and said like, yeah, it was Sullens right, Sullens left, but still had to stop it type thing. So I'm thinking as a coach, there's nothing more like demoralizing as a coach when like a team has a dude, that dude's going to get the ball 25, 30 times and you try everything you do to stop him and you can't stop him, and I mean, again, didn't see you play, but that sounds like that's kind of what it was. And we've had some guys like that too, in the past couple of years too. And it's nice when you have dudes like yourself and like a Kate Everson and kids like that. But yeah, as a coach on the defensive side, there's nothing more, that just grinds your gears when you can't stop a dude and he's going to get it that many times. But that's when you got a dude when you can do that. So
Because we didn't. I mean, Mike. I mean, we didn't. The ball wasn't in the air very
No,
much.
I don't think
The ball was
I
not in
can't
the air
remember.
very much.
I can't remember what Riley threw for, but I don't think it was a lot. We ran the ball a lot, but hey, it worked. We
yeah.
really well with it. Um, yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
What do you I know you've been to some like Comanche games over the years
Mhm.
since you've graduated, but um what are what do you think is even I mean you're going on what 14, 15 years since you played, which doesn't seem like a real long time, but what do you think has changed, from when you played in 2010 to now in 2024 going into 2025? What do you think's changed the
Yeah.
most in the game of football?
Uh, High school specifically, Comanche.
Yeah, let's just do high school specifically.
High
Yeah.
school with Comanche. Yeah. Passing. Yeah, I, like
Yeah.
like you said, we. I mean, it seems like you guys are going to the air a lot more, which
Yeah.
is really fun to watch. Honestly, that opens it up a lot. Fun for the kids, and being successful with it as well. It's really enjoyable to see that happen. And that's the biggest change. Because what do you guys run on defense? Is it a 3-5 or
Well,
five
we're
three?
3-5. Yeah. We
Three
run
five. Yeah.
3-5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, just your guys' passing offense is really cool to see, especially from the stands. Nice, fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you don't see really, well, in our area, you don't really see any wing T type offenses anymore either. I know Tipton, 4, 5 years ago ran kind of like a spinner back, kind of like a Sigourney Kyoto type thing,
Hmm.
where they got sniffers and quarterback spinning and handing it off to whoever, but you don't really see that much anymore, and it's definitely more of a spread type game. I would agree. You still have certain teams that are going to run more than pass, but generally we're seeing probably 80% of the spread teams every team we play. So I would agree with that as well.
So, we did some 7-on-7 out to Wit. Do you guys still do that a lot preseason?
Yeah, we do. Fulton has a little 7-on-7 Friday night thing they do in the summer in July. It's usually us, Fulton, Erie, Prophetstown, and sometimes Morrison is in it as well. And then we, in the past couple years, we'd go over to Clinton a couple times in the summer and do a little 7-on-7 with them as well in the morning on like a Wednesday. But that's really, really about it as far as that goes. And we do a little bit with our team as well with that in the summer too. But yeah, nothing too crazy, or we're not going to like tournaments or anything. But yeah, you got to do it because everyone's throwing it, and it's really good for defense too. So, and it definitely helps your quarterback as well doing that and seeing the defense and seeing different looks, things like that.
Timing.
Yep, timing for sure. Yep. Stendo, do you have any other like Comanche or football specific questions for Mike?
So Mike, like, remember, like you're saying junior year, like it was kind of a lot of the like East and West running, with the, what was it, the wing?
Wing T, yeah.
And again implementing a system and all that. But Coach Schaefer, when he was your senior year, I felt like he really understood your style. Like the north and south part, where he was like, "Hey, we got to get this guy going this way." And again, that's transitioning. Like you were saying, at that point, 4 years where you have, the program hadn't won a game. But I felt like he really did a really good job understanding who he had personnel wise, and he was like, "Hey, we got to get Sullens going this way." And once that happened, look what it did. I mean, like you said, because honestly, between you and Brett Johnson, I mean, like you said, that was tough for, even though they knew the ball. Coach Coit, you were saying demoralizing to a coach saying, "We know the ball's going to go to, these guys." They were scared. They knew that, like, shit, if we're trying to stuff Sullens, they're just going to do like a jet sweep or give to Johnson on the outside. Well, he's going to burn you. He runs a 4.5,
Mm-hmm.
And then, hey, we want to stop that. And what do? You give it to Sullens, and he's going to run for a 12-yard run here every single time. So I felt like he did a really good job of understanding, like what he had with personnel.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I agree. I think the switch from being so wing T heavy junior year, because with a wing T, a lot of faking, get everybody involved, all three backs back there, fullback and two wings, and then you know, from my standpoint, I just loved going back to the eye, standing back there. That was me. And the thing is, we still did like sets out of the wing T, maybe like a quick toss, some sort of fake, and because that was another one that was like just a quick toss. Riley would just like open up, zing it, and then you're just on the edge going, which was always it's fun too to be out there in space and just running as fast as you can into somebody. It's always a fun experience. But no, I agree. Schaefer, once we just like, what, let's do this, and I was like, absolutely, that fits my game. I loved it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and like I think I mentioned it, like you good coaches are able to, change to what your personnel is and what you have, especially at a small school like Comanche, like certain years where we'll still be spread, but we may run more than we pass, and certain years we're going to maybe throw more than we run. Certain years we're able to like take shots downfield. Some years we're more short game type stuff and things like that. But yeah, you gotta adjust to what you have. Because we can't recruit and like some Catholic schools or private schools can, I won't get into that, but you never know. So, but yeah, get what you got and you go.
Assumption, Iowa City, Regina.
Yeah. I mean, You can name them all if you want.
Oh man, I remember. I always hated this song.
Yeah, Iowa City, Regina was ridiculous that year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, come on. At some point, like,
Well, and they're in like, you know, schools like that are Regina's a 1A or 2A school usually, and they're pulling from kids from Iowa City, you know.
yeah,
Exactly.
I don't know what
Yeah.
Iowa City's population is, but
They
like
had just signed-
100,000.
it's a lot bigger than 4,000 that we're pulling from in Comanche, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I remember the linebacker like for Iowa City Regina didn't start at like Iowa City West or whatever, so he went to the Regina. And it's like, are you serious? Like,
yeah.
you can just get this top tier guy that easy. And what
Yep.
and isn't that Cook who coached them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marv Cook.
And
Yep.
then Marv Cook and Ed Hinkle was on the coaching staff too. I swear to God.
Probably, yeah. I mean,
I'm almost positive it was him from Iowa, but it's like I mean, just the coaching staff is ridiculous as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and Cook had his two boys are really good players too. I think they're definitely after you, but because they were going through when I coached at Comanche. So
okay.
yeah, but well, I mean, I still do, but when I was an assistant. All right, Stenda, should we get into our tier talk here? We're going on a little over an hour here, so
Better get
get
it.
into tier talk and end it that way.
Yeah.
All right, so our tier talk topic is our greatest sports moments or memories, more of like all time in our era that we have seen growing up. So who would like to go first?
Mike, do you got your picks?
Yeah, I think I got a few if you don't mind.
Yeah, bring them
Throw
on.
them in, man. Let's go.
All right. So because obviously I'm a huge Hawkeye fan, I'm gonna stick with a couple that really stick out that I saw live in person. So first one is '05 Iowa versus LSU, the catch. Tate to Holloway. I mean, I just remember that so vividly and just like jumping up and down as a kid and just being so excited. So that was a huge sports moment for me. And then of course, just a little bit ago, the other Hawkeye one was of course seeing Caitlin Clark do her thing and breaking the record. So those are two Hawkeye moments that really stick out to me, just in my lifetime. And then in general, just sports moments in history. For me, I just remember I couldn't leave the TV, but watching Tiger win the Masters, come back and win in 2019. That was like I was just glued to the TV, could not stop watching. And it was on that par three, like all the leaders went into the drink on the par three, gave Tiger just enough opening, and then birdies. What was it? The other par three, and yeah, just comes home, takes it and brings it home, and it was just cool to see him, come back from all the personal stuff, the injury stuff, and just come back and be a champion. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was a cool moment though. The Tiger, I remember that too.
I totally forgot that you played golf. I don't know why
Yeah.
I forgot that. I forgot about
Hey,
that.
do you care if I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Go.
Okay, so are Iowa high schools now going to play golf in fall?
Well, they were going to. So they came
Okay.
out and said they were switching golf to the fall,
Yeah.
and then that threw everyone in a tizzy, like
Yeah.
all the golf coaches, football coaches, and then like 2 or 3 weeks later, state came out and said, "Hey, we're going to switch it back to the spring." So they approved it to go fall, and then everyone's throwing a fit, and then they're like, "Okay, yeah, we'll go back to the spring." So
Okay.
yeah, so
Good.
it's in the spring
Good.
still. Yeah.
Because if that happened when I played, I probably wouldn't be talking on this podcast. I would have been playing golf.
Really?
No, I love golf. I really, I remember in fifth grade, like, or no, what was it? Seventh? Yeah, fifth or seventh grade. I can't remember. No, fifth grade. Yeah. I didn't even go out for football because I wanted to focus on golf. And I think it was Jordan Moore who's like, no, you're coming to football practice. And thank God he did. But no, okay. I'm glad.
Yeah. Yeah, so your wife commented and she said, did they change it for tennis then? So no. So girls are still for girls, they're doing tennis in the fall now instead of the spring. And they
Oh,
aren't changing that. So then um that's going to affect obviously volleyball
yeah.
with girls in tennis. But yeah, they moved men's golf back to the spring. They were going to go fall. Now it's back in the spring. Now, like 4A plays golf in the fall, and I think maybe 3A for boys. But yeah, it's weird. The state just kind of has a mind of their own and just does whatever they want when they want, and goes that route.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so that the whole thing with the tennis and volleyball will definitely be affected,
Yeah.
and as well, not only for the kids but also like coaches, because I know at Comanche we have one coach that I can think of that coaches both volleyball and tennis. So then now the coach is going to have to decide. Not gonna be able to
Right.
do both, so they'll have to decide what they're going to do there. So
Hmm.
yeah, very interesting concepts there.
Sorry, I didn't mean
Nice.
to interrupt the
Oh,
tier
you're good.
talk.
That's a good question. It's all right.
Mike, do you still golf quite a bit?
Yeah, when I can.
Sure.
You know, was pretty golf quite a bit, and you know, being a father changes that. So,
Sure.
um,
Yeah.
I think I maybe played 10 times this year. Still love to do it.
Yeah.
What are you shooting? Like if you go out and play 18?
So, I think I played best ball tournaments primarily. I mean, that's when I
Yeah.
play golf now. It's just like a
Yeah.
best ball tournament. But I think I played my own ball a couple times this year, and I think I shot like a 82 and an 85. Um,
Solid.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely not as low as it was in high school though.
Well, golf's a game where you gotta play a lot of it to stay good at
Oh
it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So
talk about rhythm. That's a
yeah,
huge game for rhythm.
yeah. I'm terrible at golf, but I love playing it. I never played growing up. I didn't pick up a club really until probably 10 years ago. Maybe, yeah. And I haven't got good at it yet, but I like playing.
It is
So
fun.
yeah.
Doesn't matter how good or bad you are. It is fun.
Yeah, you just
I only do best balls though. I've never actually played my own ball in
So,
any type of golf. So I think that's the way to do it.
you just go out there and drink beer, dude.
I do that too. Yeah.
absolutely
That's pretty much what you. Yeah.
I think that's a given when you're playing golf. Like
right.
I don't know if I've ever played a round of golf without having at least one beer.
Would be American
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I mean,
So
didn't have a beer, don't you think?
yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
But, hey,
I went golfing the first time when I was a junior in high school. Tony Bassett, David Lake, and I can't remember who else it was. All right, Mike, I'll give you one here. I am on the course there at Valley Oaks. I had never golfed my whole life. Terrible at golf. I never picked up a club. I swing. I totally missed, right? I missed. I don't even hit it. It's a par three. I boom, second shot, boom, hit it, hole in one. Get a
no.
hole. Yeah,
No.
yeah. Tony, I could get Tony. I try to get Tony Bassett on here. Tony
You
Bassett,
swung and
Lake,
That
missed
infuriates me so
and
much.
then you hit a hole in one.
That makes
and
me so. I mean, I'm happy for it, but that makes me so mad. That makes me. I'm still pursuing that one thing in golf. God.
Yeah.
you know,
I'll never hit a hole in one, but
and
it'd be
they
awesome.
Tony Bassett, he was so competitive, and he was so emotional. He was so pissed at me. He took a club, and Tony's like 6 foot, 200 pounds. He's stacked, right? He takes his club. He goes, no way! And he grabs his club and he just throws it as far as he can. I was like, dude, what? And he's like, you got a hole in one. I was like, yeah. Like I literally like swing and I miss over the top. I'm like, oh
Right.
shit, man. Go do it again. There it goes. And I watch it go down. Boom. It's the par three. It goes boom, boom. He's like, no way. He goes down. He pulls I think he pulled the flag out of the hole. He
Uh-huh.
was so pissed off about it. But that was my claim to fame on it. And
Jeez.
Wow.
but terrible at golf. I'm absolutely. I mean,
And that was your first day.
First, I was 17. I had never
Wow.
picked up a club in my entire life. Yep.
Wow.
And
That's
Tony,
wild.
That's
Good for you. And you still don't golf, right, Snidda?
no.
Yeah.
I mean, I would go, but
why golf anymore? You hit the pinnacle of golf. I mean,
It wasn't really a hole in one though, because he
it
swung
really
and missed.
wasn't. No, it really wasn't because Tony's like,
That technically counts as a stroke.
yes. Tony
well,
was.
I think in new rules today,
Oh, really?
I think you have. I can't remember if you have to make contact. Somebody on thing that knows golf will correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah, I don't know that for sure either.
I mean, regardless, that is phenomenal. That's pretty awesome.
I bet Tony would probably remember the hole that it was there because I can't remember where it was at, like what hole it was when we were doing like 9 holes or whatever. And oh, dude, he was so furious. He was. I think he wanted to whoop me afterwards. You know, and I know Tony my whole life. I'm like, dude, I don't even like golf. I've never golfed. And he knew that. And he's like, yeah, we're gonna go out and play. And we went and played. And dude, he was so mad. He had his shirt off and he's pulling the flag out of the. Yeah, I was like, all right, man, let's tone this back just a little bit, bud. But it's a tough sport. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think.
When we had Mitch on, Mitch Van Zuden, we're talking about how difficult golf actually is. You know, thinking like, you know, Stenda, you played baseball. I played baseball. Sure. I don't know, Mike, if you played much baseball growing up.
Yep.
But it was just, it was always one of those things like I could never understand, or I could hit a fastball just fine moving, but the ball that's sitting still, not moving, I can't hit it. Sometimes squib it and feet in front of you, or it's just wild. It's different.
It's a joke that I mean, it's just a funny thing that I always say too. Like you said, you can hit a fastball like my wife. She can hit a tennis ball coming at her 100 miles an hour, place it over the net exactly where she wants it. But you put a little white ball in a tee, and she doesn't know what to do. Like it's just, I don't know. Like you think this amazingly athletic person would have the coordination to hit a ball that's not moving, and it's just it does take a lot of technique, and it is hard. But yeah, I've seen great athletes look terrible out there golfing. Yeah. So,
and it never goes where you want it to. It seems like either.
Yeah.
Or if you do hit it where you want to hit it, you don't know how you did it, and then you're like, "What did I just do?" Like I went, and then you're trying to figure out how to do that the rest of the round. At least that's how I am.
Yeah. Right. Are you aim for the slice, and then that's the one time you hit it straight into the woods? Yeah.
I've been there before a lot, actually, because I have a pretty bad slice. But hey, it's fun though. Everyone keeps going back. So
we got. You think Chelsea would she come on the podcast sometime? We're trying to get more. We got to get more females. Like it's hard to get. Like the ones
she's not going to help you out on the NFL talk, FYI.
Oh no, we tailor. No, we
tailor to our guest. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, dude. I forgot about that. She was a stud b-ball player in tennis. Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you got.
We should. Yeah, we could look into that for sure.
You're gonna have good genes with the kids, then, right?
Yeah, we'll see. We already got them. Yeah, Nora's 4 and Brooks is 2. And we already got them doing some stuff. Gymnastics, soccer, basketball, tennis. Of course, tennis. But
sure.
Well, you gotta make sure those kids are going to command, right?
Yeah. No, we're talking about it. We're talking about it. No,
you guys live in Clinton, right?
we live in Clinton, but that's a discussion we've had, and we're gonna keep talking about it. But no, I'd love them to go.
Yeah, you can open and roll.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
I'd love to see River Kings and Queens.
Yeah.
I like it.
If they're not here by middle school, I'm gonna have to give you a call.
Sounds good.
All right. Stenda, you gotta go into your sports moments. Okay. You want to do yours? Your list? Huh?
Yeah. I'll do. I did 3. Mike, how many did you do? 3?
Yeah.
3
moments. Yeah. So I just went. I'm not a big college guy. I wish I was. I just don't. I've never gotten into college athletics. So I did NFL, NBA, and MLB. So I'm going to go number 3. What I remember is if you remember the 2001 World Series, the Yankees versus the Diamondbacks, Game 7, and Luis Gonzalez hits the game-winning little floater.
Yep.
Off of Mariano Rivera, the best closer. Arguably he is the best of all time. And they beat him, and that would have been the Yankees, I think, 4th or 5th championship in a row. I think out of like 4 out of 6 years. Luis Gonzalez pops it over his head, 9th inning. Yankees were up in the top of the 9th, and then bases are loaded, and Luis Gonzalez pops that little ball over there, and I think it was Tony Womack who scored.
Counsell. It was Counsell.
Counsell was Craig Counsell. Yeah,
I was gonna ask you if you knew who scored.
Counsell.
The best batting stance in the world.
Yeah. Yes.
That.
Yep.
So he was the guy that had it like in his armpit, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Like really weird.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a big. I mean, at that time, they had like Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling pitching for the Diamondbacks. But you're just talking about the Yankees. The best dynasty of all time. So
that's a good one.
They probably shouldn't be 3, but they're 3. Number 2, I'm gonna give you Super Bowl 43. It's the Steelers and the Cardinals, and 2 plays happen in that game. Arguably, under the circumstances, the magnitude of the game, James Harrison picks off Kurt Warner, runs it 100 yards back to the house. Yep. And what happens at the end? Steelers drive down. Ben Roethlisberger, 2 minutes and some change, drives him back, gets a holding penalty, still drives down the field, threads a ball to Santonio Holmes in the corner of the end zone that I don't think very many quarterbacks could make the throw. He does. And I just think under the magnitude and the circumstances of the game, arguably Super Bowl history is probably 2 of the best plays. Now, again, I'm a Steeler fan, so I'm very biased. However, I just think in those, the circumstances, like, dude, 2 of the biggest plays happened in that Super Bowl. So, that's my NFL. Number 1, I'm a Michael Jordan fan, so 1998, Game 6 against the Jazz. Michael Jordan, push off or not, wasn't a push off.
No.
Michael Jordan said he was
going that way.
I'm with you. Michael Jordan.
He was going that way.
He was. I'm with you. Michael Jordan sinks it. You got your 6th NBA title. As a kid, I have a shirt that has his last shot. It's a last shot shirt. I've got it. I paid like $100 for it online. So I'm like, well, this is great. And that to me, that's number 1, just as a kid, because Michael Jordan was the man, in that era. I know now everybody's LeBron and all those different things, and I get that. But, dude, to sink that, and then he just holds it, and then, there you go. So that's my number 1.
Solid list. I'll do my list here. I do not have an honorable mentions today.
Wow.
You got 3. So I'm an Illinois fan. I grew up 30 minutes away from Champaign. So 2005, Illinois basketball against Arizona in the Elite 8. Illinois was down 15 points with 4 minutes left in the game. And they came back and forced overtime and ended up winning in overtime, and then ended up going to the national championship game. It's like one of the most craziest comebacks in college basketball history, and especially a tournament game with the Final Four on the line, and just to see them go on a 20-5 run at the last 4 minutes and go to overtime. But crazy thing about that is after they won that, I remember watching it in my garage at my house with a bunch of people, and like I said, we lived 30 minutes away. So after the game, a bunch of us drove to Champaign to like greet the team when they came back. And we were like, we didn't think there'd be a lot of people there. There was like thousands of people like waiting for the team to get back. And we're just standing back behind a bunch of people and never really got to see anybody, but we went anyway. I was like 19 years old, 20 years old, whatever, when that happened. But that'd be my number 3. I remember that vividly. My number 2, same as Stenda's number 1, Michael Jordan, 1998 NBA Finals. Tough moment to beat there.
Yeah.
The other thing that people forget about that game is Jordan made that steal he made under 20 seconds with Malone in the post.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that was like
Came behind
Yep.
him, right?
came from behind. That was
Yep.
that's a play that no one ever talks about. And that I mean, obviously the shot won the game, but if he didn't get that steal, I mean, who knows what happens, you know? So, and then obviously it's the iconic looks. Jordan's last shot as a Bull, 6 was at NBA Finals. So, my number 1 is big baseball guy, 2016 Chicago Cubs World Series. Obviously, they went on a 108-year drought without winning a World Series. That Game 7 was, I mean, again, I'm biased, but arguably one of the best Game 7s in World Series history. Extra innings, little rain delay, all that kind of stuff. So, just a lot of cool things. Remember that moment. I remember my son was like almost 2 years old. Or wait, no, he would have been 2. And he's up sleeping and I'm in the house and like trying not to like scream and go crazy when it
Right.
happened. I'm like yelling without yelling and all that. But those are moments that I'll never forget that stay with me for forever. So that's my list.
Cubbies.
Cubbies, yeah.
Can't go
Oh,
wrong.
you're a Sox fan, Stenda, but
Yeah, they suck. Terrible.
yeah, they're bad. They're bad. Who's your baseball team, Mike?
I've been a bad Cardinals fan
Okay.
lately. I just haven't watched the sport
Yeah.
in a long time. I mean, I keep up with where they're at, but baseball was really big for me in the 2000s. What we won in '06 and 11, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I think so. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I was really into it when we had like Fernando Vina, Edgar Renteria, Scott Rowland, Jim Edmonds, Pujols, of course. You had, through the Chris Carpenter years, early with Adam Wainwright's years. 2011 was awesome with David Freese just going crazy
Yeah.
in the playoffs. I mean, just this guy, every time he went to the plate, he was doing something crazy for us. But no, like I said, I just watch where they're at. Again, I don't have a whole lot of time to watch baseball, but
Sure.
no, I am a Cardinals fan, born and raised that way, but no, I played baseball a lot as a kid too. It was a fun sport. Remember traveling a lot for that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
Cardinals.
yeah. Hey.
Brian. Hey, how about this guy? Mike, you remember this guy's name? Brian Jordan.
Brian Jordan,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you remember him?
He
was
played in the NFL too, right?
I think he did. I think he played for the
Yeah.
Falcons, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah. He was an out. I think he was an outfielder. I think he played
outfielder.
left field.
Yeah,
Brian Jordan. He was number 33, I believe. I think.
do you guys remember Steve Klein? Did you ever know that name? He was a reliever for
Yeah.
the Cardinals. Never washed his hat. One of those guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was at the dirty. I remember we got a photo. I think Mom's got a photo of us with him. He was nice enough to get a photo after the game at Old Bush.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Klein. Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, there's a lot of good players with the Cardinals back in the day. Even the Cubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony La Russa, we were like the Spurs of basketball in that era. We always had a good team.
Sure.
We were always first or second in the Central. Yeah, we just always had a solid team.
Yeah. I hated it. Cubs fan.
Well, God, that one All-Star game, I think we had 3 Cardinals in the starting lineup. I think we had Edgar Renteria was playing awesome that year. Scott Rowland and then like Pujols.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just that team was just so solid.
Was Renteria, was he shortstop?
Yep.
And then Roland was third.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, they were stacked.
Another good sports moment, and I mean, this is kind of watered down with the steroid era, but when McGuire and Sosa were on the home run chase in
Yeah, that's a good
1998,
point. That
Yeah.
was an
I just
awesome.
thought of
That was
that as
awesome.
we were talking that.
Yes.
But I remember, I mean, that was huge for baseball, especially.
Oh
That
God,
brought a
yeah.
lot of interest to the game, and obviously them chasing that home run record was kind of cool to watch. Well, and I'm pretty sure McGuire broke it against the Cubs. He got
He
62.
did. He hit
hit off
Beret.
Steve.
Yes.
Yeah,
He hit that shot in the left field off of Beret, and he almost missed first base.
Yeah, because he was
Mhm.
jumping up and down.
Yeah. He went back and touched it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to say it was Steve Traskell pitching, but I could be wrong. But
Nope. You could be right.
I don't know. But yeah, he barely went over the wall. I remember that. Yeah. So cool moment for sure there.
Yeah, but it went over the wall, so it doesn't really matter.
What'd you
You
say?
don't watch college football, Stenda?
You know what? Here's the when David Johnson played at UNI,
Yeah.
love watching him. But
Yeah.
and Ben Boothby, I graduated with
Right.
Ben. Ben was I actually, I would go to about 2 games a year while Ben was playing there, just to go watch him play. But I'd never, for some reason, I got this Fire Stick, and I, can get everything you can think of. I just cannot get into college.
Gotcha.
I don't know why. I need to, but I just don't.
Because I would say another like honorable mention would be like maybe like USC versus Texas.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a game to watch.
Yeah.
Steve Young went crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
nuts.
Vince Young.
Or
Yeah.
Vince Young,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That
dude,
was
he had like almost 500 yards total offense. Something like that, something stupid. I know he had like close to 200 rushing in that as well. Yeah, that game was wild. There's a ton of NFL guys on those teams too.
Yeah.
They ended up playing in the NFL. Yeah.
Who, like even college, like I'm trying to think like college, like outside of like I remember like back even the Miami Hurricanes, like Ken Dorsey. Remember when he was quarterback for Miami? And
Yeah.
I think who played on that team? Was it Sean Taylor?
Probably Taylor, yeah.
Yeah, Willis McGahee.
Willis McGahee. Yep.
Was that Reed on those teams?
Jeremy Shockey.
Yep.
Vince Wilfork.
Ed Reed.
Santana Moss.
Yeah. Yeah, those teams are loaded.
No, I mean, you look at their depth chart, it's crazy. The NFL players that were on those teams. I mean, they did that 30 for 30 on it, which I mean, you just see who was on that. It's just absolutely nuts how good the Miami Hurricanes were at that point period.
Oh, dude, yeah. Here's my before we go. So Sean Taylor, you think I was reading a thing the other day or watched a thing. The one guy that played with Sean Taylor said that he comes into the NFL. This dude shows up to practice in jeans. He's in jeans. Sean Taylor. And he said that he is mowing down dudes. He's running them down. He's picking the ball. And he says Sean Taylor is the toughest. He would have been the best. I think he play free safety?
Yeah.
I think he played free. Said like he was like the legit, like the best player he's ever seen play. Like he showed up one day in jeans and his pads and he was running dudes down.
That's awesome.
Oh no, dude. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Those dudes are just built different for sure.
Well, I remember he lit up the punter in the Pro Bowl game.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
I almost killed the guy.
That's actually back when you could hit during the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. Now it's flag
just hit in the NFL in general, I guess. Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember watching like Brian Dawkins and
yes,
like I mean, just they would decapitate people over the middle. I mean, they they were hoping you'd go out cold. They just, oh my
Yeah.
God. And as a viewer, granted, CTE is not great, but as a viewer, it was really fun to see people get laid out like that. But
that's what they. The thing is, the hard part is like they, if you're a defensive player, that's what you went to the NFL for, right?
right.
Yeah.
But like now, like as a defensive player, it's like even like what? I'm sure you guys watch some of the games today. You as a defensive back, you can't even how that's. Do you guys think that's the hardest position to play? I think defensive back,
defensive end or
defensive
defensive
back.
back. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Being a quarterback, you can't touch them. You can't do anything. I don't get it. That is the hardest position. Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Stupid. Like you can't even touch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
the
you were saying,
NFL
like
has
Sean Taylor
crazy
just killed.
rules. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it is wild. And then you got only the whole defenseless receiver deal as well, and you have to
And
make
then you
sure.
see like some of the sacks that you get thrown on for roughing the passer, and it's just like, are you?
Yeah, that's gotten a little better, but it's still bad. I think, but yeah,
it's
I
terrible.
think it also sometimes it comes down to what quarterback you're hitting too.
Yes.
Well,
like the rule is you can't. Well, the one rule, like you can't put your weight on the quarterback when you're bringing them down or something. Like how do you avoid that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like as a 300-pound dude coming full speed, how are you going to avoid not putting your weight as you're going down on the ground?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you signed up to, possibly get hurt. So it is what it is, I guess. And in my opinion, so
putting your body on the line, man, those dudes are in
mm-hmm.
the NFL.
Well, before I know we're kind of excited, but quite like we've talked about this, like Mike, you bring up a good point because, and I know I've said this a few times, you quite like you literally know what comes with playing the sport of football.
Yeah.
Like you already know, like it's a violent sport. No matter all the things you try to put in place, it's not going to change it. I mean, you can't. Maybe for the younger kids, like tackling and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when you get to that level, it's like you got Ray Lewis running against, Jerome Bettis. What's going to happen? A major collision.
Violence.
Yeah. Controlled violence, organized violence, or whatever.
Like, come on, like just leave it. Like, okay, then, like you said, don't play then if you don't want to get hurt.
Right.
I mean, come on. I don't know.
You guys still do like Oklahoma in practice?
Well, technically that's illegal now.
Oh man, really?
Good God. That first week, just you look forward to hitting somebody.
I don't know who's listening, but we do have drills where, there's one drill that's pretty close to that, but
okay, good.
Yeah, we have a couple of different tackling drills. Like we have this one we call Stormed In, where it's you have 2 offensive linemen, 2 defensive linemen, running back and a linebacker, and it's like a 10-yard. You just make like a big box, and then whoever's not in is surrounding that box, and you have 4 plays to get 10 yards. So those same guys stay in for 4 plays, and the defense is trying to keep them from getting 10. The offense is trying to get 10.
Right.
So that's just and it's live. We go live when we do that. So that's a good drill to see who's going to come downhill and hit, who running back, who's going to, hit the hole and try to run someone over, and also who can block. So, but I would say that's kind of a variation of that. But
absolutely.
Officially Oklahoma. So yeah, don't get me in trouble, Mike.
Hey, you denied.
Yeah, I denied. For sure.
I'm going to turn you into stay-down mandatory reporter.
All right, go for it. They're not coming to Comanche. I can tell you that.
What's that?
I said they're not coming to Comanche, Iowa. I can tell you that.
Once I talk to them, they will.
Yeah, maybe.
You're probably gonna be like, you're gonna get off here and be like, dude, are you serious about that?
Nah, I know you're joking.
Just kidding. Jeez. Oh man.
All right. Stina, you got anything else for Mike before we sign off here?
I got nothing, man. It's great having you on, dude.
Yeah,
Great
appreciate your
reminiscing.
time, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of fun. And yeah, thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, maybe we can get the wife on it.
Yeah, we'll look into that for sure.
Hey, but before we go, enough is enough.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. God, yes.
Yeah, I was hoping you remember that.
Oh my God, yes. Oh man.
That is
I think
I know that song because I remember when my first year at Comanche, there was a CD in the weight room where the CD player was, and it said "Enough is Enough," and I'm like, "What is this?" And I remember putting that in the CD player and playing it, and I'm like, "All right." When that one like "We Are the Indians," like, all that.
Yes. Oh my gosh! Wow.
By Skis, right?
Yeah,
Yep,
Tanner.
Yep.
Mike, did you guys
I'm so glad.
come out to that?
Yeah, that was. Say that again.
Did you guys? I didn't mean to cut you off, but did you guys come out? If I remember right, did you guys come out to that like at the home games?
Yes. And then and I remember that, and then I remember I think after the game on Victories, it was the "Tonight's Gonna Be a Good Night," whatever by the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those two. I'm so glad you brought that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Man, that was a good pull.
Oh man. I tell you what, man, that place was rocking back then, dude.
Yeah, it's fun.
It was rocking, man. Good times. Wow, I'm sad.
Yeah.
I can't believe this.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, dude.
Sometimes good things got to come to an end, right?
Yeah, they do.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, Mike, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Maybe you can be a return guest sometime. We can I'd like to go down the road of the PT stuff a little more too, maybe. So we can add you sometime down the road as well, or maybe we could have you and your wife on at the same time.
Yeah, and obviously I think you guys know she's in the same profession, so
yeah.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have like a PT segment every other week or something.
It'd be good.
It'd be cool for sure.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into that. We'll be in touch. Go from there. Stinda,
perfect.
You all good?
Mike, it's good seeing you, my man.
Good seeing you.
Hey,
thanks for having me, guys.
Yep.
Enough is enough. We'll see you guys. Signing off.
Yep. See ya.